will give the floor to Mrs. Yade if she arrives. So could I call on you, Commissioner Ferrero-Waldner, to give us your remarks? Madam President. Thank you.
Honourable members of the European Parliament, here we are meeting once again towards the end of the year on the occasion of the publication of the annual report on human rights. This meeting is cast in particularly strong profile this year as it is the 60th anniversary of the Declaration of Universal Human Rights. In all the simplicity of the 30 articles of the Declaration and the universal vision it embodies, it hasn't gained as much as one wrinkle. On the contrary, it's as relevant as ever in a world where all too many people still, in their daily lives, suffer the violation of their fundamental rights. Each of them reminds us that there's so much we still need to do to implement the rights asserted in the Declaration and make them a palpable reality. Like the whole Parliament this morning, I was also very moved by the presence of most of the Sakharov Prize winners. And I was also very touched by the comments of Mrs. Elena Bonner. I have the greatest respect for everyone who defends human rights. Now, honourable members, the annual report on human rights sets out the work undertaken by the European Union in pursuit of this goal. For my own part, there are two important developments I would like to underscore, and I would also like to pick up two challenges. First of all, the European Union has made good progress in 2008 in consolidating its external policy instruments so as to tackle discrimination and violence against women. Above and beyond emblematic situations such as the one applying in the east of the Democratic Republic of Congo, the treatment of women is still a global scourge. The implementation of Resolution 1315, Women, Peace and Security, and 1820 on violence against women, passed by the UN Security Council, are still inadequate. The Secretary General of the United Nations, Ban Ki-moon, has just given a positive reaction to my request to him, with the backing of 50 women leaders, to organize a ministerial conference on the implementation of Resolution 1325 in 2010, and I greatly welcome that. With that in mind, we are strengthening the coordination of European instruments. The Council has just adopted a new overall approach to implement Resolutions 1325 and 1820, and these would apply both to European political security and defence policy, the ESDP, as well as other community instruments. This will allow us better to incorporate the gender perspective from prevention and crisis management right up to the consolidation of peace and reconstruction. In the same line of thinking, the Union has just, under the French presidency, adopted new guidelines at the Council on the fight against violence and discrimination against women. The second development that is very close to my heart is our human rights dialogue. In 2008, we have held further dialogues with Kazakhstan, Kyrgyzstan, Turkmenistan and Tajikistan. In this way, we have met our goal to cover all the countries in Central Asia. Similarly, this year we held two promising rounds of talks in our new dialogue with the African Union. Lastly, we also decided on the practical details of five new dialogues with Latin America. So more than ever, we are determined to involve civil society in preparatory work as well as follow-up to these dialogues. These dialogues are no simple affair. The recent dialogue with China bears witness to that. That's why it's so important to weigh up the impact of our efforts. we must establish how better to structure our political message and the on-the-ground action we can take. That leads me to the two challenges I adduced to earlier on. First of all, the multilateral challenge. The work of the United Nations is absolutely vital as a guarantee for upholding human rights. We make a contribution to the UN's work, and the EU achieves results, for example, in the growing numbers of countries adhering to the ban on the death penalty. Recently, we've achieved progress with Iran, North Korea, and Burma, Myanmar at the recent UN Assembly. And I would like to confirm our support for the French initiative on sexual orientation. The Commission is ready to raise these issues, including the decriminalisation of homosexuality in its context with third countries, in a spirit of mutual respect and recognition of everyone's customs. Regular scrutiny can take place within the UN system, but we cannot conceal the increasing difficulty the Union faces in playing its role as bridge builder in the UN context, where a block line of thinking increasingly applies. The recommendations in Mrs. Andrikiene's report, which your House will be asked to adopt in January, will be helpful in taking our thinking on this further. Lastly, there is the challenge of effectiveness. The European Union has been stepping up its endeavours on behalf of human rights in a growing range of countries. How can we enhance our impact? I think we must be careful to ensure better linkage amongst our instruments as we seek to deliver our policies on the diplomatic front, as well as the European Democracy and Human Rights instruments, electoral observations, or again incorporating the human rights vector in our other external policies. The goal of coherence and greater effectiveness must therefore be a major concern to all the institutions. Thank you, Madam President.
Thank you very much. Now we have the speakers for the groups. First of all, for 2 minutes, for the EPP group, Mrs. Andrikiene.
Thank you, Madam President, honourable